Folks, welcome to an all new So Bad It's Good. This is your pal Ryan, and this is your Thursday episode, right? That's right, yeah. Thursday the 19th. So, wow, we're less than a week before Christmas and Hanukkah and all the. Wow, less than a week. And it just. We got a busy show for you today, folks. We're going to have to hop right in. I mean, I'm going to talk about a bunch of other things, but this is primarily a Beverly Hills recap of episode 5. But we got a lot of news stories to catch up on before we get to that, because today we had the Summer House trailer drop, and I think it's worth talking about for a second. Karen Huger. There was an update in her court case, which we will talk about as well, and just a bunch of other things. How are you doing? Are you hanging in there? I hope you listened to yesterday's episode. We talked about Christmas, and I read one comment on Spotify because I gave not a trigger warning, but I gave a warning because I talked about Santa, and I didn't want to talk about Santa freely and openly in front of kids. And somebody was like, thank you for doing that. So I can only imagine some kid was like just taken out of the room while their mom was listening to So Bad It's Good. Or now that I'm thinking about it out loud, they probably just turned off the show. Anywho, I'm glad I gave the warning. So I hope you're hanging in there. It's stressful, right? That's what these times are supposed to be, so joyous, but then they turn out to be stressful and everything's happening all at once. Oh my God. You remember when you were in high school or college and like you'd have the finals around this time and you were just like, I just got to get to the holiday break. And as you get older, there's not really a holiday break. Like when you're in high school or college, you get like weeks off. We don't do that anymore. I mean, you know what? Screw Beverly Hills. Let's talk about how screwed up the world is that wait. And you know what? In Europe, sometimes I hear Europeans, sometimes they'll get like a whole summer off. They'll get a siesta in Spain. You know, in Spain, there's a time each afternoon, it's called siesta, where people go and nap and take care of themselves so they can enjoy life. No, not here. No. And it's the same with Bravo. Bravo like ramps it up. You want to take a break around the holidays? Sorry, we're going to give you Vanderpump Rules news right before Thanksgiving. I swear to God, if Bravo tries to pull any shit right before New Year's Eve or Christmas, where I have to like, and guys, I know I'm joking. Nobody gives a shit what I really have to say, but like, I'm going to feel pressured to say something. Like, if Craig and Paige, like from Southern Charm and Summer House, all of a sudden decide to get married right before New Year's Eve, I'm going to be pissed. Like, think about the families out there. Think about, like, give us time to hang out with our family and friends, for the love of God. I haven't seen people in years because of Bravo and because of pop culture. Give us the space we need during the holidays. And this TikTok ban, you guys have heard about the TikTok ban. It's supposed to go into the day right before the coronation. Oh, sorry, the Guys, as I get older, I'm forgetting more and more words. The inauguration, that's what so January 19th, the TikTok ban is supposed to go into effect. So it like won't be off your phones, but it just won't update from what I'm hearing. But today, the Supreme Court has decided to take on the case. And hear this, the problem is this wasn't a presidential act. It was an act that the Congress passed this. They made this like a law to like ban TikTok. And now I think everybody's realizing over there that so many people make money off of TikTok, not just content creators, but like everybody involved makes money off of this. So like, hey, maybe not the best idea to get rid of this in January. So my prediction, as it's always has been, it's like TikTok's going nowhere. But I will say, could we get a TikTok break? Could we get a break for like a couple of weeks? Because it has become a full-blown addiction. And I convinced myself that it's like the thing I do now before I go to sleep just to relax. And that's not, I just end up scrolling for hours where I should be sleeping or reading or catching up on reality TV shows. And I'm sitting here watching some dog get yelled at because they ate the owner's Gucci shoe. Like I'm getting pushed a lot of dog content, a lot of alien drone content. It's too much. It's just we need a break. We need a break from anything. But I'm so glad that you're here today. I hope you don't need a break from this. But even if you do, I get it. We'll always be here for you. Today I went to my pre-op appointment for my sinus. My constant sinus infections. So I had my pre-op appointment today where they walk you through the procedure and tell you what you need to do and what to prepare for. And so it's going to be December 30th, and it's kind of gnarly how they describe this. And the nurse practitioner is like, don't worry, he's gonna really like scrape the shit out of your sinuses. He's gonna really clean you out. Like, and you'd be like, oh, Ryan, they didn't say scrape the shit. I'm telling you, she said they're gonna scrape the shit out of your sinuses. And I was like, that sounds painful. And so then I'm gonna be laid up for a couple of days, and they give pain meds, I hear, so that's cool. And they just said, you're not supposed to touch your nose at all, and you're supposed to do this nasal rinse. And she's like, don't be alarmed. There's going to be a lot of stuff coming out of your nostrils for a couple of days. And I was like, oh my God, it would be cool if I could find the keys I lost a couple of years ago, but I think it'll probably just be other weird, gross stuff. I'm not gonna, don't worry, I'll try not to tell you too much about it when it happens, but maybe that's I don't even know what to expect, but it's exciting because I just can't wait. Hopefully I will feel better going into 2025 and not be sick every flipping 2 weeks. So that happened. And then we have been hard at work on the Jeff Lewis live show that's going to be at the Brea Improv tonight. Sold out, 750 people. On StubHub, they're selling these tickets for $700, I think, now. And I'm like, is there a way I'm moderating the show. Is there a way I can sell, like, if I sell my moderator position, that's got to be worth at least $800. Like, I could make some real quick cash around the holidays, which would really come in handy. But no, I'm really excited. I had an hour phone call tonight with Shane and Jeff, and we've been talking for the last couple of weeks. And it's really fun to watch how his mind works, and how, Shane's so fun. I don't know. It's going to be controlled chaos. For all you chumps coming tomorrow night or tonight, if you're there, please say hi. If there's crossover, I think there's some crossover between both of our shows now. But I can't wait. I hope I do a really good job. I hope, I'm just a wrangler. Like, and then Jeff all week has been talking about like certain things that we were supposed to keep secret. And then he's like talking about it on the radio. He's like, Shannon Bedore's going to be there. I'm like, Jeff, stop saying what's going to happen on the show. So, it's going to be an exciting night. It is going to be an exciting night. And I pray that it goes well. I really want to do good for him and for the audience, and just to have make sure everybody has a great night. So hopefully it goes good, and I'll tell you all about it this weekend. But it's like, that is my last like final of the year. Like, if I can get through tomorrow night, everything else is a cakewalk. I'm going back to Arizona to be with my family, and I'm excited about that. Excited and nervous, as you always are. And that's it. Okay, we did that. Thank you for all the people that have been leaving 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Thank you to my Patreon listeners. We put a bunch of content out this last week. If you want to be a baddie, patreon.com/so bad it's good. Maritza has been so hard at work on the holiday card, which I believe she'll be mailing out any second now. She's an artiste, so she goes through a very interesting creative process. I've always noticed it over the last couple of years, and I love that about. She takes it really, really seriously. But come be a baddie. I've also been doing a lot of cameos the last couple of days. I'm shocked that anybody would want me to be a part of their holiday celebration, but it's been really fun. Okay, I think that's all the bullshit commercial stuff that I have to do. I shouldn't say bullshit commercial because I'm really proud of all of this, but it is what it is. Okay. Where do we start? Let's start with some negative stuff. I said yesterday I wanted to keep it a positive show, so I didn't say this yesterday, but James Kennedy, we used to call him DJ James Kennedy, made a statement on his Instagram. Oh my God, did he take it down? Hold up. Oh, maybe it was just in his stories. Hold on one sec, folks. Okay, so he just made this statement in his Instagram stories. And remember, Instagram stories, those disappear after 24 hours. So it is not something that is left up on the grid, which is there, forever until you decide to delete it. So he put this in his Instagram story. I am committed to making meaningful changes in my life. I am taking time to focus on my sobriety, personal growth, and being present for my loved ones. Navigating challenging moments is not easy, but I am determined to learn, grow, and move forward with the incredible support system around me, James. So that is James Kennedy's statement regarding his DV charge from the Burbank police. And I think a lot of things about that. First off, I think he should have put that on the grid. Also, a lot of people are like, well, why didn't he mention Allie, his girlfriend, ex-girl, wherever they are? Why didn't he mention that directly? I mean, he probably can't just for legal reasons at this point, but also working on my sobriety. Haven't you been working on your sobriety? I know this is nitpicky, guys, but it is one of those things of like, okay, so are you admitting that you have fallen off the California sober wagon? He's really kept mum on a lot of these things. But it is interesting to see the conversation grow, and it all of a sudden is taken away from the conversation about James Kennedy and his own actions, and then the finger pointing to all of these other people begin. And it's all about, well, who didn't unfollow who on social media yet, and who didn't, and then when is Lisa Vanderpump going to speak up? I mean, these are valid questions, but right now, all of the focus needs to be on making sure Allie is okay, and then making sure James Kennedy fucking figures it out for himself. This is also now the law got involved. I understand people's frustration in that Lisa Vanderpump always seems to protect these men. I'm not making excuses for Lisa Vanderpump at all, but I think it is well documented on the show that she considers James Kennedy a proverbial son. I mean, she thought the same of Sandoval, and we saw that. Yeah, it sucks. But is Lisa, I mean, truly, this is something that is a great question to ask you guys. Do you think, and you also have to take into account, she just opened the restaurant in Vegas. Do you think Lisa should make a public statement about somebody that she no longer is affiliated with in business? Do you know what is the correct way to handle things like this? Because we, the audience, and me as well, we become savages. We become savages because we want to place the blame somewhere. And I think the blame should be placed solely on James Kennedy. But like, we don't know, like we see what we see on TV, and we've heard all of these stories. And I think the people that it's been affected directly will be speaking out when they are ready to speak. I can't tell Kristen Doute's story. Kristen Doute can tell Kristen Doute's story, but for anything that I've heard, I can't just go like, hey guys, this is what I hear that happened. No, that's not this show. That's not who I am, but I know she will be ready to talk when she is ready to talk. Just like a lot of other people. People have had experiences, and those stories are starting to come out. But it is interesting. I will say though, I noticed I was even following James Kennedy a couple days ago, and I was like, oh shit, and I just unfollowed him. It was just that easy. These things should upset us. These things should be things that make us examine our own lives and our own relationships. But I do find it interesting when the conversation starts like, let's get this person, let's get that person, we got to get this, how dare this person, when are we going to get comments from that person? So in the entertainment industry, whether you agree with this or don't, most people are not going to put themselves directly in the line of fire publicly because the audience is demanding that of them. Think about it. They are not actually working together on a show anymore. Do I know if these people have reached out to James personally? Do I know if they've reached out to Allie personally? Man, I hope that they reached out to Allie. I mean, I don't know. I don't know any of that stuff, I mean, how do you guys handle these situations in your lives when shit goes down? Do you reach out to the people if you are close with them? Even if they've done something wrong, do you reach out to them? And I think these people have such a long, complicated history with each other from Vanderpump Rules and have so many of their own experiences. But I'm talking about the people around James and all that. They are not perfect people. Most of us are not perfect people, but I hope that some of the anger I see out there directed at a lot of these other people can be solely, for now, directed at James Kennedy while all of the other bullshit is worked out. And the one thing is to try to make sure Allie has the strength and the support to see that this pattern of behavior seems to be continuing. So I just wanted to say that really quick. Sorry if I upset you this quickly and early in the show. But yeah, I think it's pretty easy to write this person off right now. And there, once I read the police report where it was, the victim said they were picked up and slammed to the ground. That's all I needed to read. We first heard it was like the neighbor calling in something. And I was like, well, I mean, if you heard my episode last week, my thing was neighbors don't usually just call for the first time. They usually call after they've heard something again and again and again. It's like I said, my only stupid example was like somebody that kept throwing parties. And if you talk to them once and they kept doing it, sometimes, unfortunately, you have to call the cops. My opinion at that time was that the neighbor probably heard this again and again and again. And now we're finding out maybe it wasn't even the neighbor. Maybe it was, but the victim herself said this. And that's all I need to go on. So while as a feeling compassionate person, I do hope he gets help. And he has been offered and allegedly, I just say allegedly now with everything, has gotten help in the past, but there's got to be some, it takes a lifetime to heal certain things. But just because it takes a lifetime to heal certain things, which you should be allowed to do, does not mean that you get to stay with the girl, does not mean that you get to keep all of the baubles and the things that you even worked hard for, like the DJ gigs. Sometimes you are given so much and you have to try to rise to the occasion to grow. And I will tell you, life, I'm speaking from personal experience, life will show you really quickly when you fucked up. And you have to try to be able to change or be able to understand yourself without putting more people in the line of fire, and especially when it gets physical. Okay, that's too much of that. Bah humbug. But we support Ali, and I do hope he gets help. And but yeah, I don't think. Yeah, it's just a really bad situation. I keep saying the same thing because it's one of those, isn't that like that with you guys too, where you keep going over something in your mind and you're like, well, this or this, but then you factor in all of these past stories or even just rumors that you heard. And you're just like, oh my God, it's fairly obvious. Sometimes you have to be knocked over the head a couple of times with all of these pieces of information to say, yeah, man, maybe he is not at the place where he needs to be in a loving, committed relationship right now. I'm sure more information will come out. I think there was also something I had heard that we don't truly understand the full story. But if you read that police report, I don't know what other part of the story that we would be missing for those two sentences in that police report, right? Okay, boo. Okay, I swear to God, guys. Okay, let's get wackadoodle. Real Housewives of Salt Lake City tonight. Wow, that got a little intense too. But I will say when you watch Salt Lake City, they will have these intense conversations. And then all of a sudden, Mary will be like, where's dessert? And you're like, this is hysterical. Holy shit. So they do this these ladies are, it's like the Beatles at their Shea Stadium tour. It's like the Beatles after they released Sgt. Pepper's. They're at the height of their reality show careers. This Bronwyn Newport, I told you last week, there's no proof. I'll scroll around TikTok later, but this lady was created in a lab to genetically engineer a perfect housewife. It is almost becoming eerie. She's given out information about her own personal relationship that usually people try to hide on these shows. She's like, here it is. Todd has had dalliances with other people on his iPad. And you're like, Bronwyn, save a little something for next season. You're like, you're really throwing it all out there. But each one of these ladies brings their special sauce to this. And it's one of the only shows where I was like, why can't this be 2 hours? Why can't it be? Like even Beverly Hills today, which we'll talk about. I thought there were so many great moments. And that last scene especially was wildly comic in a horrible way, in one of the best ways, because they're all sitting there in their Yellowstone gear. Like, my God, Yellowstone had its finale this past weekend. I hear a lot of people are not happy with the Yellowstone finale, but I gotta say, I'm gonna do a class action lawsuit against Tyler Sheridan, the creator of Yellowstone, because I solely blame him for everybody in Beverly Hills wearing cowboy hats on this episode. Like, Kyle Richards must be stopped. Kimosabi, I'm looking directly at you. It's got to stop. We got to go back to just baseball caps or just work on your hair game, because the hats are too. Am I at a rodeo? What is going on here? Am I watching City Slickers? This is wild, but I also love it, right? It's like, oh, this is great. They're all dressed up in the little Western wear, and they're fighting with each other and calling each other the "see you next Tuesday" word. Like, Dorit, man. Dorit finally came out in the light of truthfulness, or her version of truthfulness, and I love that it contains smoking and just using the most even Richard Pryor would be like, shit, what are you saying, girl? Like, this is wild. And I made a meme about this last night. Yeah, I love when a grown man says, I made a meme about this last night, but I made a meme and somebody's like, I don't know why you're glorifying smoking. No, you don't understand. It's not about, I think she looks so badass smoking. It's just the ridiculousness of, we've always known Dorit smoked. We've seen her in so many paparazzi photos. So the fact that she's finally feeling free, or even just mistakenly lighting up with cameras that she knows or might not know is there, that's the kind of truth I want to see. Like, you learn more about Dorit in that moment is like, oh, she's a stress smoker. I mean, she's probably just a smoker, but she's a stress smoker. And so I said, oh, the only thing better than her saying, see you next Tuesday to Camille Grammer is if she had just fucking lit up a Marlboro Red and was like, you're a C-U-N-T, Camille, and we all know it. Like, let your freak flag fly, man. I'm there. Like, I'm not sitting there going, oh, fuck, I need to fire up a cigarette, man. No, it's nothing like that. It's just the funny, like, it's at Stars. They're just like us. They're just like us. Like, I was like, fuck, is she going to open like a Natty Light next? Like, is she going to open like the champagne of, are we going to go to Milwaukee and open the champagne of beers while Dorit like chain smokes, just ripping through cigarettes, cursing out Sutton and Camille? I'm here. Like, I love that it kind of just, we're seeing that freer side. Instead of a housewife, which we see all the time, that is trying everything in their power to hide things. That's what I like. So Bronwyn tonight just like gives information that wasn't asked for. Just here it is. Here it is. And Dorit, it's taken her this long to get there, but she's here, man. And we got to encourage it. And, you would speculate that somebody like Kyle Richards watches this and is like, oh shit. Oh, fuck. I got to start being super truthful. Fuck. I don't even want to smoke on camera. Fuck. Like the pressure to tell the truth in Beverly Hills. Even Erika Jayne's like, fuck, I should have done this a long time ago. How did we get to a point where Erika Jayne is it's like Lala Kent always promised, the softer side of Lala Kent, the softer side of Erika Jayne. Like, where have you been all this time? She's using her like soft, like, I'm using my soft, empathetic voice this season. Like, it is wild. And then if you watch the Beverly Hills after show on Peacock, I mean, it was only 17 minutes long this week. Maybe we'll talk about some of it, but it was wild to hear her talk about her life. And it's just another one of those things of, listen, even Erika in that after show was like, listen, I still have a lot of lawsuits against me, but mainly it's all gravy, baby. Like, it's all good. And you're just like, that's it, man. I still will always find it horrific that Erika Jayne I believe that sometimes she cares about Dorit, but I will never believe that she cares about the victims of her husband, her husband's mess. I will always say like, God, because I think there's an indignance, you could tell she was so indignant because she thought, I am a victim too. I am a victim too. And so fuck everybody else. Look at me having to deal with this, and I'm having to deal with this on camera. That's the hard thing about reality shows, right, folks? Is that they choose to put their lives on camera. And when it's good, it's great. And when it's bad, it's the double-edged sword from hell. Because it fucking cuts you, and then people want to watch you bleed. We are in the Coliseum watching these gladiators with tits try everything in their might to work their way out of a situation. But I am not an Erika Jane fan, but I will say, she pointed out in the after show, it's been 4 years since all of this went down. And I was like, thinking about it. We were 4 years when all this broke. We were like masks deep into the pandemic. And we were all mad and pissed off about that. And what this man did was incorrigible. And we saw this woman flaunt her wealth. That was one of her character descriptors, was this lady loves rich shit. That was her thesis statement as a character. And when these shows sober you up, just like the James Kennedy arrest, it sobers you up to the fact of like, oh man, when it's fun to watch these toxic people, but sometimes it gets to a point where you're like, God, when it affects somebody, physically, or when it affects all of these victims financially, it really is a sobering thing. And then to watch somebody week after week be like, no, fuck you. No, fuck them. It's wild. So it is interesting though. My whole point is, if you hang in there, tides will turn. So in that sense, Erika is like a barnacle, man. There is a strength in her. And I don't say strength in the terms of like, oh, it's admirable how strong she is. But there is a self-preservation strength in Erika that I have found it very interesting to watch her ride the waves of. And now, it's not smooth sailing because she legitimately does still have so many lawsuits, but she's meeting with her therapist is doing like home visits. They're like talking like fashion, they're talking home decor. She's like, I want to make this peaceful and tranquility and glamour. And the therapist is like, I've always wanted that for you. My therapist is always like, hey, are we going to put this on the visa today or the amp? No, my therapist is awesome. But you know what I'm saying? Like the therapist is doing home visits, talking about, I've always wanted you to have really good decoration in here. I've always wanted you to have better than IKEA furniture. So it's just, isn't it just interesting the way the world works? You can be down for a couple of years and then you can start pulling yourself up. So yeah, it's just something that I've been thinking about with Erika in her quote unquote journey, even though she's not the focus or really the star of this season, but it is interesting. Like I keep telling you, they gave her the hot potato. All eyes were on her for a couple of seasons. And now they're like, Erika, we will present you in a very good fashion. And I feel like they truly have. Now, speaking of Erika Jane news, the whole reason for this whole diatribe is Erika Jane announced today that she is returning to the Great White Way. She is returning to the way of Broadway, folks. We remember that Erika Jane was in the musical Chicago, which Ariana Madix just really successfully did for 2 runs. She was in it right before the pandemic, just for a couple of weeks, and had to bow out for the pandemic. And remember, Tom Girardi couldn't even make it to see her. Well, People Magazine reported today, our buddy Dave Quinn over at People says, Erika Jane is returning to Broadway as Roxy Hart in Chicago after COVID pandemic cut her initial run short. So, January 20th, 2025. Oh my, I just read, guys. Wait, January 19th, TikTok ban. January 20th, inauguration. Night of January 20th, Erika Jane is back, baby. Let's fucking go. I'm gonna rock and Roxy Hart, and then I'm gonna fuck New York. Yeah, I'm Erika Jane. Yeah, she is returning to old Broadway. She is going to be doing performances through March 29th. So January 6th through March 29th. Will you go see Erika Jane on Broadway? Can I tell you this? I've seen the movie Chicago. I know the score. I know it because I'm a theater nerd, but I have never seen Chicago live. And it killed me that I couldn't go see Ariana for so many reasons. While I was close 2 times and I never got to do it. And it really, I told her I was sorry. It killed me. But I mean, I almost feel like it would be a crime if I went and saw Erika Jane, but I didn't see Ariana. But should we go as a baddie gang? Wait, we've not done any baddie meetups, really. We did one at like Bravo Combo. Should we do a baddie meetup at Chicago and then all stand at the stage door afterwards? Like, Erika, sign my program, sign my tits, Erika. Yeah. I don't know why I would be doing my bad Erika imitation for Erika, but anyways. When she initially had to leave the performance, she was very sad, but now she is returning to Broadway. So that's a big deal, man. Like, listen, you don't get paid a lot for doing Broadway. And what Erika Jane, like it's called stunt casting. You see it in a lot of TV shows where they'll have like a big star, for like an episode or a special episode of this, but Broadway does this all of the time. You could say Ariana was a little bit of stunt casting, but I think she rose above and she actually gave a performance that people were really heralding. And the box office receipts for Chicago, she was, I believe, one of, if not the best box office guest star that they had in the long run of Chicago. So you don't get paid though tons unless you were like Robert Downey Jr. just did a play on Broadway. Like he probably is demanding a certain cut. Tom Hanks did a Broadway show. Denzel Washington and Jake Gyllenhaal are going to be doing Macbeth in, I think the end of February or March. Now that's one I would kill to see Denzel Washington in a play. And Jake Gyllenhaal, he's, like, man, he's amazing too, but Denzel Washington playing Macbeth and Jake Gyllenhaal's playing Iago? Are you kidding me? I did a production of Macbeth at Arizona State University. Shout out Sun Devils, fork 'em, whatever we're supposed to say. Which, by the way, Sun Devils football, I know this isn't a sports podcast, but they killed it this year. Yeah, your boys talking sports a little bit more than they have a really cool. Anyways, I did Macbeth at so I had we did this post-apocalyptic version of Macbeth, and I had my hair doesn't like grow long, it just grows up and out, really poofy, and I grew it out, and we tried to dreadlock it. And, thank God this wasn't a time during social media or anything of that nature. But I will say, in my defense, Counting Crows was like my favorite band at the time. So, and I think Adam Duritz had just released like A Long December. And I was like, wouldn't it be post-apocalyptic? I bet some of the Macbeth dudes would like be dreading out their hair. Thank God. I think I'll have to check in storage, and I'll have to burn those photos if I find them, because truly embarrassing. So, Erika, I too am a part of the theater. I am a thespian. Okay. Now, while I was just talking about this, my phone lit up like a Christmas tree. That's a little holiday reference. And very sad news. And this is just horrific. I had mentioned this earlier about Karen Huger and what she is going through right now. People magazine article by Stephanie Wenger, Dave Quinn, and Charmaine Patterson. Real Housewives of Potomac's Karen Huger disappointed after being found guilty of DUI, will respect jury decision. She is found guilty after being charged with a DUI in Maryland in March. And the statement from her attorney says, although we are disappointed in the jury's verdict, we of course respect their decision and appreciate their time hearing our case. We continue to reserve Mrs. Huger's rights to an appeal and intend to fully pursue justice on her behalf. We appreciate your support and prayers for Mrs. Huger and her family at this time. Now, this is her second incident. She was found driving a vehicle in a careless and imprudent manner, endangering property, life, and person, as well as recklessly driving a vehicle in wanton and willful disregard for the safety of persons and property. Other charges include failure to control vehicle speed on the highway to avoid a collision, driving a vehicle in excess of reasonable and prudent speed on the highway, driving a vehicle on the highway with suspended registration, and failure to notify administration of change of address within 30 days. She was found guilty on all charges except reckless driving. So The part that, I mean, we already knew this part. The part that is heartbreaking is that the body cam footage and the footage of Karen in jail talking to a police officer has been released. I guess this is probably accessible at a certain point after a trial to the public, as most things are. And I didn't realize it was this bad. I'm not going to play the audio here. You can go find it. I think I just watched it on Queens of Bravo, and then I just quickly scrolled, and it was everywhere. Bravo and Blaze, and I mean, just every account that you can think of. And I don't want to repost. I mean, it's really bad. It's really really bad. And watching that footage, I'm like, how did they even want this to go to trial? How did they want this to go to a jury trial? How would you ever? I mean, she is so just visibly drunk, and then you hear her speech. You hear her talking, and the first one, you see her driving with the police officer, being taken in, and they let her drive in the front seat, and she's like, they call me the Grand Dame. They call me the Grand Dame. And she's like, I don't even know what the fuck that is. They call me, and the officer's kind of chuckling. He's like, Andy Cohen dropped Andy Cohen's name in the police vehicle. And then the one at the police station, she's slurring, but she says something about being Thomas Jefferson's concubine, and she's just it just appears drunk as a skunk. And then there's one with Ray, her husband, at the scene where he's like, I would prefer if she didn't have to say anything more. And she literally goes, I don't like him. I don't like him. It's heartbreaking. And it's also, once again, have to point out the obvious is that you shouldn't, thank God nobody was injured. Thank God nobody was hurt. This is what I've been talking about all season along with Shannon Bedore, is that she did this horrific thing, but she took responsibility, accepted that she was in the wrong. Karen, God, it kills me because I love her. But she fought this, and I'm just so curious how her lawyers would let her fight this, seeing that footage. I just saw that footage 10 minutes ago. I paused me talking about having dreadlocks to talk about it's horrific. So go check that out. I'm not going to play the audio. I don't want to add to that misery, but you can find it everywhere. And, sentencing, she's going to be facing jail time for this. The sentencing hearing has been scheduled for January 29th, 2025. Okay, so add that to the list. January 19th, TikTok. January 20th, inauguration, Erika Jayne's Broadway. January 29th, Karen Huger's sentencing hearing. The consequences for a first-time DUI in the state of Maryland is a fine of $1,000 and up to 1 year in jail. But remember, I believe this is not her first offense. We'll see what happens. This is just horrific. And I hope Karen has learned and accepted what she did. And obviously she's facing the consequences of what she did. She has been so reticent to talk about it on this season of Potomac. And I would be very curious. Remember, they have not filmed the Potomac reunion yet. So this will obviously, I would imagine, have a whole segment at the reunion. And just that footage alone is jaw-dropping. That hurts your old heart, right? Okay. But we got a lot of stuff to do here, folks. We got a lot of stuff. The whole thing, I wanted to talk about the Summer House trailer. Let's talk about goofballs. Oh, by the way, also, I just got a message saying, if you type Southern Charm into Google, this is insane. Somebody's like, hey, your tinfoil hat, you dressed up as Craig in your tinfoil hat from your recap, pops up when you type Southern Charm into the Google search. And I typed it up and I was like, I don't see it. But if you click the second photo on the Southern, when you type in Southern Charm on Google, and it's not the first photo, but the second photo, if you click it, it expands. And then you have the Southern Charm cast, and then you have me in my, my dorky tinfoil. Some people keep saying I look like a Hershey's Kiss, like just like a spoiled Hershey's Kiss. That'll cheer you up right there. Whew, still thinking about the Karen stuff. Okay, as Taylor Swift says, we are going to shake it off. Season 9 Summer House, the trailer was released today, and it looks like a really good season. I am a huge fan of Summer House. If you're not on the Summer House train, what is wrong with you? I think this is a great show to start at any season because then you can go back to the first couple of seasons and see like how we got there. So the trailer opens and it's like the Chiron says May 3rd, 2024, Season 8 reunion. And Andy Cohen, it takes place at the reunion from last season, saying, we got a lot of questions from fans. Was it so much, you know, he pretty much asked, do you think this same group of people can still send it under one roof one more season, or has that ship sailed? And you see all the people at the reunion going, I don't know. I don't know if we can do it. You know, obviously the Carl Lindsay stuff had happened. And then all of a sudden we cut to a skeleton body, not a real skeleton. I think like a party supply skeleton, unless something really crazy happens this season. And it's like surrounded by Loverboys cans and a pool float. And it just like, whomp. And then all of a sudden somebody, I think this is Kyle, potentially is getting shut into a coffin. And Paige is shutting him in the coffin. And I'm like, I'm going to die. And then they're like, then all of a sudden we hear this season on Summer House. And we do that thing with all the trailers where they show all the craziness. Like Wes Wilson going down a pool, like an inflatable slide. Everybody drinking Loverboys. We see Carl dressed up as a shark. We see Wes Wilson in a pirate's hat with a Loverboy. And Kyle Cook is making an announcement at one of the backyard parties. He's jumping on, looks like Carl, who's dressed like a hot dog. So you're like, Summer House is back, baby. They got the costumes. Sierra's dressed up like a big bird. You see Paige dressed up like a pirate. Everybody's laughing. You see Wes Wilson give Jesse a little kiss on the lips. We see them at like some kind of horse event where like a horse is galloping, or like making a little jump. And you hear Kyle go, I have no idea what's going on. And then you cut to Carl in a pirate's outfit trying to blow a conch, you know, like those you know, like Lord of the Flies. Ralphie's got the conch. And Carl's trying to blow in it, but he can't blow it. And he can't blow it. And then you have a scene with Wes Wilson. I'm a grown man talking about these kids. They're sending it one more season. God, what are we doing with our lives, folks? Jesse is kissing West on the lips in a scene. Hell yeah. And then like Jesse says something about like, there's like a new hot girl here for the summer. And he's like, there could be a girl. And all of a sudden we see some girl taking like hot modeling shots. And he's like, I heard she's hot, West. And we see this girl, Lexi, like hugging Jesse. And, you know, she's like, you're so tall. Like, God, can you imagine being that tall and people, that's like the first thing. You're so tall. And it's like, you're so tall. Like, that's like the thing that girls seem to be most attracted to. Jesse's like, I've heard that before. All right. You know? And the girl, we have a scene with her and the girl telling Jesse, I want to make sure that we are just trying to get to know each other and this isn't kind of a thing. And then we see another scene where all the guys toasting and Jesse's like, my last night as a single man. And Wes is like, dude, you're insane, dude. But I will point out, Wes Wilson last season did the same thing, driving up in the car with Jesse saying like, you know, like me and Sierra, you know, like, you know, I don't know. And Jesse going, yeah, I mean, I think she could be into you. And he's like, I think she is. And then all of a sudden we meet this new dude. This new guy, what's this new guy's name? Because he seems like what the girls would call, is this like a hottie? His name's Imrul Hassan, Imrul. And we see him riding like a motorcycle with like a necklace on. And this guy, I guess, is obsessed with sex. And he's telling the girls at some like lunch going like, oh, the house would be like 2 stories. And like you would walk in and there would be a sex swing right there. Sexing. So I'm like, oh, remember we had that rumor I just talked about recently that a threesome went down in the Summer House, and my bet was on like Wes Wilson. And I was like, oh my God, what if it's Wes Wilson, Jesse, and another girl? But now I think it's this dude, Imrul. This dude seems horny as hell. And we see him covering up one of the summer house bed cams with a hat. And you hear him say, like, with the black, like the camera's blacked out, and he's like, take your dress off. So I think this dude is the one doing the gangbang, right? Or the threesome. And then we hear in another scene Jesse saying, like, how many people have you had sex with again? And he was like, well, yesterday, 2. And they're like, zoinks? Yesterday? What? And Gabby Prescott's like, zoinks? And then we have the scene where Lindsay looks like she went to Kinko's or FedEx and made a big copy of her ultrasound, and her telling the ladies, I'm pregnant. They're all like happy and clapping for her. And then another scene where they're all eating outside, or the girls are, and Paige asks Lindsay, do you have names picked out? And she's like, dude, we are like settling on names. And then another scene at the beach where Lindsay is talking about that her and her boyfriend that they had the baby with, they are not living together. And she's telling Danielle, no. And Danielle's like, I just don't want it to feel like you're single momming it. So I'm like, oh shit, Danielle, back into the fray, trying to say like, I don't know if I necessarily agree with what you're doing, right? And then we cut to a scene where Carl is telling West and Paige and a couple other people, he's like, Carl's like, I haven't had sex for a year. And Paige gives the zoinks. And I swear to God, if you look at Wes Wilson's face in this preview, it looks like somebody murdered one of his family members. Like, this is the first thing that Wes Wilson has taken seriously in his life. He's like, what are you, brother? Tell me that's not fucking true, brother. Tell me you have not gotten your dick wet in a year. Are you kidding me, brother? Carl, please tell me you're lying to me, brother. I love how shot. I mean, Paige, we know Craig's all pervy and stuff like that. He wants it all the time from what everybody says. And then we cut to another party scene where a girl is coming up to Carl in a pirate's outfit. And she's like, you're giving me like lemur vibes or like lemur energy. And he's like, do you like lemurs? And she's like, very much. So Carl all radkey and all over the place, you know, lemur flirtation. And then we see Lindsay in a scene with Gabby going, you're a fucking fraud. And now I'm adding cheater to your fucking resume. And obviously she's talking about Carl to Gabby. So obviously there was information she found out about Carl after the relationship already broke up. And then, folks, we get it. We have Lindsay directly engaging with Carl at a dinner table with the Summer House gang. And she's yelling. She's like, you've been talking to this girl since we fucking just broke up. And Carl goes, I pray for you, Lindsay. And she's like, I don't need you to pray for me. And Paige is like, LOL. And then Sierra in a scene, the next scene, talking to Paige saying, I don't think you have a boyfriend that's giving you the right energy. Obviously talking about our man, Craig Conover. And Sierra says, I hate watching that shit. And then we have another scene where Craig is talking to Paige and Craig's like, you're choosing work all the time. And she's like, should I apologize for being strong and independent? I mean, Paige is going to win this one any day of the week because that's what we've been talking about Paige. Like, I don't think this is fake in any way, these scenes. I think this is a real, things that you go through in a relationship. I still think they are in game. I know I'm going to have to eat my shoe eventually, maybe, but I think they're in game still. And I'm just so happy it's not a conversation about if she's going to move to Charleston or he's going to move to New York. Like, it's something different. And then we see a scene where Paige is crying in bed, I think talking to Sierra. And she's like, oh, me and Craig are going to break up. And then everything I have will go away. It's just a lot, she says while she's crying. Now, I don't think that means they're breaking up. I think she's speculating. And, that's a fear. I mean, the deal is, yeah, we all like dig them as a couple and, that's all fun and stuff. But Paige has built such a strong brand by herself, just like Craig has built a strong brand by himself as well. So I understand those kind of elements of being afraid of what's new and what else is out there. But it's an interesting conversation to have. So we'll see what leads to, what led to that conversation. And then this Jesse Solomon is getting in trouble. We see that girl, Lexi, the new girl that he was like, I guess, hooking up with, telling somebody, oh, he's flirting with Sierra now. And then we see Jesse with his shirt off, like dancing with Sierra. And then Lexi telling the girls, I don't trust her. I'm sorry, I don't trust you, Sierra. Uh-oh, these guys aren't worth fighting over. And then Sierra telling Jesse Solomon in a scene, fuck you, actually. And Jesse's like, come on, come back. And then we finally get it. We get the Spritzer War that we've all been waiting for, because remember, Craig started promoting the Spritzer Society or Spritz Society, some spritzer brand that the girls from the Toast do, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And Kyle obviously has Loverboy. And I love the serious conversations in Summer House because they're always dressed in like the most ridiculous costumes. So it's like a hat on a hat. You already get a good dramatic scene, but then they're always in the stupidest costumes. And Craig's like, you could have just talked to me, Kyle. You could have just taken a fucking breath, Kyle, and talked to me, Kyle. And then Sierra talking to somebody saying everybody has this fucking allegiance to him, I think in regards to Kyle Cook. And Paige is like, the only reason I came here tonight was that like somebody kept his wife company while he pretends to be Diplo, as we see Kyle DJing the event. Down. Why did Diplo get brought into the Diplo getting trapped now all of a sudden? And then we hear Kyle saying, you're being two-faced with me in regards to Paige as she's walking into the Summer House. And Paige hears this and she comes out and she goes, you said I'm being two-faced? How fucking dare you? Amanda's like, head is in her hands, like, not this again. The new guy, Imrul, he has like, by the way, I'm looking at Imrul has like tigers on his button-up shirt. And then Kyle says, it's slander. And you know, it's slander. And Carl's like, stop. And you hear Sierra say, don't fucking do that to me. And Craig telling Kyle, no, not Craig telling, Carl telling Kyle, you're getting carried away. Let's stop. And we do see Wes Wilson in a cowboy hat sucking on a Corona. And then all of a sudden, you guys, you're going to get the biggest fright of your life. I did not expect this for a second, even though I should have. All of a sudden, we cut to Tom Schwartz. Tom fucking Schwartz is there with like an eye pillow around his head. And he's like, you guys, he's talking to like a couple of the girls in a bed. Like he's on the corner of the bed. He's not in bed with them. But he's like, you guys should cherish this. Your happy family. I know it's sometimes dysfunctional, but it's a beautiful thing that you have. And I used to have that too. And I can't tell if he's pretending to cry or he's actually getting emotional. And like Paige, Amanda, and I think Sierra are just like kind of laughing at him. And they're like, you're so dramatic. And that's it, folks. The new season premieres February 12th. Will you be watching? How exciting. Well, what did you guys think of that? That got me excited. But I will say, I don't think we got nearly enough of Wes Wilson. I thought there would be a storyline of Wes Wilson in the trailer based off of the Sierra relationship. And Wes seems to be a man about town now. So we didn't get that kind of storyline. So obviously Jesse Solomon getting into a lot of hot water. We got the, every season something with Kyle pushing further into the Paige Craig relationship. You have the Carl Lindsay, you have Lindsay pregnant. Still don't know what Gabby's there. I hope Gabby gets something this season. But she's a good utility player. Danielle obviously is not in Summer House anymore, but we did see Danielle in that scene with Lindsay, so she does make appearances. That is it, folks. How exciting is that? So I'm so thrilled that Summer House will be gracing our screens February 12th. Okay, so we're going to add that to the list. We got the TikTok, the Erika Jane, the inauguration, Karen Hugert sentencing, and Summer House. Oh my God. So exciting, everything. Okay, folks, that's it. That's it with our pop culture roundup. And now, finally, we can get to Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, episode 5 recap. Let's go.